Welcome to Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into something really significant, a major proposed change in U.S. immigration policy. We're talking about the H-1B visa program, specifically a potential new executive order. And the big news here is the introduction of a really dramatic new annual fee, just eye-watering, really.
Yes, and our goal today is to provide a professional but also, accessible analysis of this. We want to look past the headlines, really dig into how this policy is supposed to work, and understand the administration's stated reasons. That's key, and then look at the potential impacts. Impacts on the tech industry, on global talent, and, well, on the skilled professionals who rely on this visa.
Right, and we absolutely have to start with that number, the detail that's causing such a stir. If this goes through as proposed, employers would face a $100,000 annual fee per employee, per H-1B application. I mean, that's not just a fee increase, is it? It's like a wall.
What's fascinating here is that a number that large isn't just about raising revenue. It's a policy statement. It immediately highlights this fundamental tension, a tension between two really different ideas about America's economic future. One vision focused on strict protection for domestic jobs versus another that wants to bring in global talent to lead in tech.
Okay, let's maybe back up a bit for everyone. We hear H-1B all the time, but what is it? Fundamentally, it's the main pathway, isn't it, for highly skilled foreign workers, scientists, engineers, researchers to come work in the States.
Exactly. It's often called the lifeblood for places like Silicon Valley, for major research hubs, but it's already quite constrained. There's an annual cap for the main category, only 65,000 visas, plus another 20,000 for people with advanced degrees from U.S. universities. And demand. It blows past supply every single year.
Yeah.
Huge margins, which leads to that lottery system everyone talks about.
The H-1B lottery, yeah, highly uncertain already. And you mentioned who mostly gets these visas.
Yes, that's crucial context. Over 70% consistently are Indian nationals. So we're talking about a policy change affecting a resource that's already scarce, already in high demand, and overwhelmingly used by talent from India.
Okay, vital context. Scarce, lottery-based, mostly Indian talent, now add a $100,000 price tag. So let's turn to the people proposing this. What's the official reason? What's the administration saying is the justification for such a massive fee?
Well, the official argument really centers on two things: prioritizing American jobs and pushing up wage standards. The proponents argue that the current system, even with rules about prevailing wages, gets misused, particularly by, say, large IT consulting firms. The critique is that they use H-1Bs to fill jobs at lower wages than what American workers would command, essentially depressing the domestic market, is the claim.
So the fee is presented as a kind of market correction tool, an attempt to make it just too expensive to hire foreign talent unless they're absolutely unique and command a very high premium.
Precisely. That seems to be the logic. If a company has to shell out $100,000 up front, the thinking goes, they'll only do it for someone truly indispensable, a top researcher, a very specialized engineer, not for roles they feel could be filled locally. It's an attempt to curb what they see as volume-based use or misuse of the visa and ensure only the highest paid, maybe most exceptional foreign talent gets through.
Okay, I can see the logic on paper, but the reaction was immediate, wasn't it? And quite fierce. Who's pushing back the hardest, and what are they saying?
The pushback has been very strong, particularly from the Indian American community and tech leaders. A really prominent voice here is Nick Piatti. He's got an interesting background. Former Microsoft executive, Indian origin, also worked at the DOJ under Obama. And he just perfectly captured the feeling by calling this fee a tariff on talent.
A tariff on talent. Wow, that phrase really reframes it. Moves it away from just domestic labor protection towards, trade barriers for skills.
Exactly. It reframes it completely. Piatti's main point is that this kind of policy misunderstands how innovation actually works. He argues the fee doesn't just block, say, lower-paid workers. It punishes innovative companies, especially fast-growing ones, the ones that need very specific skill sets that maybe aren't just sitting around unemployed in the U.S. His warning is pretty stark. He says we face a choice: embrace talent and strengthen our economy, or shut the door and weaken our competitive edge, end quote. He sees this potentially alienating the very kind of minds, the scientists, the engineers who helped build Silicon Valley in the first place.
And this is where the impact could be really uneven, right? I mean, maybe a giant company, a Google or an Amazon, could absorb $100,000, but what about smaller businesses? The startups, the ones backed by venture capital, often relying on just a few key people with unique skills.
Oh, the economic fallout for smaller players could be, devastating. That's not too strong a word. For a huge tech giant, $100 K might be, an expense line item, an annoyance. But for a mid-sized company needing, say, one very specific AI engineer, that fee could literally wipe out their R&D budget for a whole quarter. So this policy really hits startups and mid-sized firms hardest, the ones that need specialized skills to innovate, to scale up fast. They often drive a lot of new job creation, but they just don't have the deep pockets to absorb this kind of massive upfront cost.
And then there's the impact on the individuals, the skilled workers themselves, especially those from India. The message seems pretty blunt, even if it's not spelled out. The door is getting much, much harder to open, maybe even closing.
Absolutely. The hurdle just becomes enormous, almost insurmountable for many roles. Companies looking at that kind of financial risk, they're likely to just sponsor fewer people overall. Or they might increase their reliance on offshoring work entirely, or shift hiring to other countries. It basically creates a much more hostile, or at least uncertain, environment for really talented people, people whose skills we arguably need. It directly cuts down opportunities and ramps up uncertainty for professionals deciding where to build their careers.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this isn't just about one visa type, is it? It's about America's place in the global race for innovation. If we make it this hard, where do these skilled people go instead?
That's probably the most serious long-term implication.
Yeah.
Yes, if we connect this to the bigger picture. The U.S. seriously risks losing its long-held position as the world's magnet for innovation, the place everyone wants to come. The moment you put up a $100,000 barrier like this, we instantly become less attractive, and you can bet our global competitors are watching closely, and they're ready to benefit.
Yeah, and they're not just waiting, are they? They've been actively changing their own policies, trying to lure exactly this kind of talent.
They absolutely have. Look at Canada. They brought in their global skill strategy. It actually promises processing times of just 2 weeks for certain high-skilled workers. 2 weeks. Australia, the UK, they also have specialized visa tracks now, designed specifically to fast-track tech founders, STEM experts. These countries get it. They understand that top talent is mobile, and the best way to boost their own economies is to make it easy for the world's best innovators to come there. Honestly, this proposed $100,000 US fee, it could end up being a huge gift to those competitor nations, driving talent right to them.
So it really does bring us back to that core philosophical clash you mentioned earlier. This whole debate seems to crystallize a fundamental conflict, one that goes way beyond just visa fees.
It really does. It represents a deep split in thinking about how the U.S. should secure its economic future. On one side, you've got the view that protecting existing domestic jobs is paramount, even if it means using extreme measures like this fee, and accepting that maybe we lose some global talent as a consequence. That's the trade-off they seem willing to make. But on the other side, there's this strong belief that global skills aren't a threat. They're actually a vital input, that to stay ahead in technology, to create the next wave of high-paying American jobs, we absolutely must attract and welcome the world's best minds.
The stakes feel incredibly high then, because this touches on something deep about American identity, doesn't it? That long-standing idea of being a land of opportunity, welcoming talent from everywhere. This whole debate over a $100,000 fee really makes all of us think hard. Which path actually makes America stronger in the long run, economically, technologically?
All right, so just to summarize our deep dive today, this proposed $100,000 annual H-1B fee has triggered a major debate. It primarily impacts the tech sector and disproportionately skilled professionals from India, given their high representation in the program. Proponents frame it as a necessary measure to protect American jobs and wages, arguing it targets misuse of the visa for cheaper labor. However, critics like Nick Piatti have powerfully labeled it a tariff on talent. They warn this extreme cost could cripple innovation, especially at smaller U.S. companies. And crucially, it risks pushing desperately needed expertise towards competitor nations like Canada, the U.K., and Australia, who are actively rolling out the welcome mat. Ultimately, the debate highlights a fundamental conflict: a protectionist vision versus one prioritizing global talent engagement for future U.S. leadership.
All the best, and we will meet again with another important matter again.